Hi everyone, this is our first class for pre-calculus, and our topic for today is polynomial power and rational functions. Let's first begin with polynomial function. The form of polynomial function is like this. Fx equals to an times x to the power of n plus an minus 1 times x to the power of n minus 1 plus blah 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 to a1 times x plus a0. And in this function, n is the degree, and an is the leading coefficient. There are many kinds of polynomial functions. One of them is linear function. The form of linear function is fx equals to ax plus b, where a is not 0. In this function, the degree is 1, because x to the power of 1 is x. And linear function could also be written as y equals to mx plus b, where m is the slope. And the formula for m is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Here's an example. If a line passes through the point -1 and -1, 2 and 3, -2, what is the slope? So we can calculate m equals to -2 minus 2 over 3 plus 1 is equals to -1. And the graph of linear function is always a slant line. When m is positive, when x increases, so the whole function, the y also increases. So the line is like this. And when m is a negative number, so in this time when x increases, y decreases. So the graph is this. And the next type of polynomial function is quadratic. The form of quadratic function is fx equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not 0. And the degree for this function is 2, because here is 2. And for the graph of quadratic function, it can be transferred by squaring function, which is fx equals to x squared. Here's an example. If gx equal to -1 over 2x squared plus 3, how can this graph transferred by the squaring function? So first, it has a vertical shrink by a factor of 1/2. Second, it reflects across x-axis, because here is a minus. Third, it shifts upward 3 units. In this way, we can obtain this function. And the graph of quadratic function is when a is positive, the function is like this, and when a is a negative number, the graph is this. And next, let's talk about the power function. So the form of power function is f(x) equals to k times x to the power of a. In this function, a is the power and k is the constant of variation. And k and a are non-zero constants. So let's see an example. If f(x) is equals to this, what is the power and the constant of variation? As we know, this equation can be written as this, and so the p, which is the power, is 1/3, and constant of variation is 1, because the coefficient before x is 1. And now let's analyze the graph of this function. The domain and range is both any real number, and when x increases, y also increases. And symmetry. Let's put minus x instead of x. So f minus x is equals to minus this, and it's opposite to the former one. So the function is symmetric about the origin. So we can now draw the graph. It's almost like this. And at last, let's talk about monomial function. The form of monomial function is f(x) equals to k times x to the power of n, where n is a positive integer. Okay, so now we have an overall view of all the functions. So let's now go back to focus on the graph of power function. And as we learned before, the form of power function is f(x) equals to k times x to the power of a. And when k is positive, the whole graph is located in the first quadrant, because when k is positive, the function is direct proportion. And when k is negative, it's located in the fourth quadrant. And in the first quadrant, when a is equals to 1, is a linear line, because when a is 1, the function is kx, which is a linear function. And when a is greater than 1, the function is like this. For example, when a is equals to 2, the function is a square function, so it's like this. And when a is between 0 and 1, the graph is like this. For example, when a equals to 1/2, the function is k times x to the power of 1/2, which is like this. And when a is a negative number, which means is like this. And as the same in the fourth quadrant, this is when a equals to 1, and this is when a is between 0 and 1, and this is when a is greater than 1, and the last one is a is a negative number. And for these two intersect is 1k, and this is also 1k. Alright, this is all for today's class. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.